Hey guys, SweetBananaGaming here, coach of your Orlando Solgaleo, and today, or rather tonight, I'm going to do an overview of my strategy for my first battle of the PGBL, Week 1 against the Kentucky Typhlosions, not Typhlosions. You can see the team below. These are the Pokemon that MrChabry has drafted. And I'm not going to get too in detail on my strategy, but this is going to be just a little thing that I'll try to do each week before my battle. It explains some of my thought process going in. It's by no means a final strategy, because I'm recording this a few days before we actually have the battle, so things could be subject to change as I test things out, and I'm just going to upload it right before I upload the battle, so that, you know, there's no revealing of strategy ahead of time, but just to give you guys a little bit of an idea of my thought process going into this battle. And I think it's also a good time for me, it's a good opportunity for me to be able to say some of my thoughts out loud about what I'm thinking, so it can be good for the viewers and good for myself to kind of get my thoughts in order here. So I've already done some planning. I've kind of analyzed each of the members of his team here, and just kind of taking a look at what I think the biggest threats on his team are, and what I think my biggest threats to his team are. And I've also done, as of right now, I've done one test on Showdown with these Pokemon, these 6 Pokemon, because I had a hard time choosing. Well, there were 4 Pokemon that, based on the common counters to the Pokemon below, there were 4 Pokemon that were really, like, I almost definitely had to bring them. Like, there was no question. And then the other 2 I wasn't sure about. But based on testing, so far, so good with the 2 that I chose. But anyway, like I said, it could be subject to change. I'm going to do some more testing probably before we have the actual battle. Anyway, getting to the good stuff, because I don't want this to drag on and on and on. I don't want to get too in-depth, just to give you a little overview. So, looking at the team overall, I think I have to think of what I have that he's going to try to counter. And I think Mega Charizard Y being kind of the main presence on my team, the main powerhouse on my team, probably going to want to bring Stealth Rocks. So that means that either the Claydol or the Bastiodon will most likely make an appearance. I'm not sure if anybody else on his team gets rocks. I don't think so. Scizor maybe gets Stealth Rocks, but I wouldn't imagine going for... Oh, Swampert can get Stealth Rock, that's right. Yeah, so that's definitely the one thing. So I definitely have to bring a Spinner or a Defogger. In this case, I'll go over here. I brought Michelin, the Donphan. Of course, Stealth Rock, Setter, and Rapid Spinner to get rid of those rocks, because keeping Mega Charizard Y alive is going to be very critical. Charizard takes care of a lot of the threats on his team, destroys Scizor easily, destroys Swampert with the Solar Beam in the Sun, does a pretty good chunk of damage to Jellicent in the Sun with Solar Beam. Same with Claydol, destroys Roserade with Flamethrower, and can do something against Hariyama with an Air Slash, although I have to be careful of rocks on him. So basically, and I'm not super threatened as a Mega Charizard Y by anything on his team, other than maybe the Hariyama, because I don't think I can one-shot it. Things that I can't one-shot. The Dragonite could put up a fight, but I don't know if it's going to have anything super effective. It could get Rock Slide. Maybe it can get Stone Edge. I don't remember. But for the most part, I outspeed most of the things on his team. I think I might outspeed everything on his team with Mega Charizard Y that's not Scarfed, except Typhlosion, but I don't think there's much Typhlosion can do to me. So anyway, I have Michelin as support, and most likely do this set that I usually use on him with Leftovers and Sturdy. Although I want to talk about, I might swap my strategy on him in a second. I'll cover that. But Donphan had, when I like made little tick marks for all the Pokemon that Donphan could do something against and was accounted for, and Donphan had by far the most tick marks with 16. And if you're wondering how I got 16 tick marks on a team of 12 Pokemon, it's because sometimes Donphan would counter a Pokemon in more than one way. So, first off, going down the line, for Mega Scizor, he doesn't have anything directly to counter Mega Scizor, but I can take a hit from Mega Scizor decently well because I have really good physical defense. With Dragonite, it's going to be important on 2 counts. 1, to set up Stealth Rocks, because you're going to want to break that multi-scale. and the second count to have Ice Shard, it's probably not going to KO Dragonite unless it's already low, but it'll do something. 4 times super effective. Alright, can't do much to Swampert. Actually can't do much to the Mandibuzz other than try to go for Ice Shard if I end up 1v1 against this thing, because I have to be careful for Taunt, be careful of Taunt on the Mandibuzz. But do pretty well against Typhlosion. I would prefer having Rocks up first before I face off against Typhlosion so I can cut its HP so Eruption won't be a big threat. But I can face off decently well against Typhlosion. I just have to be able to live a special attack from it. But I am sturdy, so if I go in at full health, I would win the one-on-one face-off, I think. Jellicent can't do much there. Claydol can't do much there. In fact, in my practice battle, I ended up in a mirror match standoff. The person who was battling me, we both used Stealth Rock and both used Rapid Spin. So basically, Claydol's going to have a similar strategy to Donphan, at least most likely. So there's that. The Hariyama, again, Donphan doesn't have much for the Hariyama, but I can take a hit from it. So it could be something to switch in and disrupt things. Alolan Muck, definitely. Donphan is a counter to that with Earthquake. Very obvious there. Bastiodon, same thing, Earthquake. The Roserade, not really going to counter it. The Tauros, I can probably handle pretty well, because I can take physical hits well. So I'm either defensively or offensively a counter for a lot of these things. And also just having Donphan to set up Stealth Rock's going to be a big deal. Now, going on to the Dragonite. How to counter the Dragonite. I have a few options here. Now, there's a chance he may not bring the Dragonite because I have Sylveon, but Dragonite is probably the main threat here aside from the Scizor. Could potentially be the biggest threat. There's definitely other Pokemon that I have less answers for, fewer answers for on his team, but as far as just overall stats and everything, Dragonite is obviously going to be gonna grab my attention the most. So I have to make sure I have decent answers for that. The obvious answers I have right here. I brought Sly the Sylveon, who actually wrong thing. Here we go. I accidentally, well, I guess you couldn't see that. I accidentally minimized my screen. So Sylveon actually in my practice battle swept 4 of my opponent's Pokemon. So Sylveon is going to be a big asset here between in the match, I got 1 Calm Mind up, and I was doing pretty well. Sylveon outspeeds a good amount of these Pokemon as well. But Sylveon obviously is an answer for Dragonite. Sylveon I don't think has too much to worry about from Swampert. Sylveon's a good answer for Mandibuzz, although I have to be wary not to try setting up against it because I could fall for a Taunt. Although I think I'd be faster than it. I need to double check the base stats. Typhlosion, we more or less don't hurt each other that much. Well, I don't know, Typhlosion's not really one. Jellicent, if I am already +1, Shadow Ball is a 2-shot. Claydol, I have Shadow Ball again. I'm not sure if it's a 1-shot or a 2-shot. But I think +1, maybe I can 1-shot it. I don't know. Claydol's fairly bulky, so maybe not. Hariyama, I have Hyper Voice. Even Alolan Muck, if I'm already +1, I can use a Hyper Voice and do a really good chunk of damage to it. Now, Bastiodon I more or less can't touch. I mean, I can go for a Shadow Ball, but not that great. Roserade, I need to check. Actually, I have its base stats right here. Roserade, somewhere, has 90 base speed, and I have... Actually, I need to... Wait, I can do it here, right? I can check here. I have 60 base speed, so actually I'm not that fast. So, but it depends on the investment. If he's running a bulky Roserade, maybe I can outspeed it because I am fully invested. If he runs a sweeper set, I can't outspeed it. However, if I am +1 in special defense, Sylveon has enough natural special defense bulk that I should be able to take 1 hit from it. And if I'm +1, then a Psyshock should do a good amount to it. And then the Tauros, I don't know if I have if I take the Tauros super well. It doesn't do super well against Sylveon either, as far as I can remember. I don't know that it gets any poison or steel. It could get Iron Tail actually, so I do have to be aware of that. Okay, so next, another answer to the Dragonite is Ampere, the Electivire. So again, I might be putting too much stock in taking out the Dragonite when he might not even bring the Dragonite. But Ampere tested really well against a lot of the members of this team, and just doing like type matchups and moveset matchups, Ampere does well against Mega Scizor, does well against Dragonite with Ice Punch, Scizor with Thunder Punch, no, Fire Punch, sorry. I have to watch out for Swampert if he brings it, but I have Thunder Punch for the Mandibuzz. Typhlosion is kind of a wash. I do well against Jellicent with Thunder Punch. I have to be aware of Curse Body, but because then I don't really have much to hit it with if it gets disabled. But I have Thunder Punch for it. I have Ice Punch for the Claydol. I don't really have anything in particular for the Hariyama. I don't have anything in particular for the Alolan Muck, although, who knows, a random Cross Chop neutral. I could do a decent amount to it, or go for random Paralysis with a Thunder Punch. Bastiodon, I got Cross Chop for it. Roserade, I got Fire Punch or Ice Punch. And then the Tauros, well, I have Cross Chop, so that's something. So really, Electivire has something for almost everybody on this team. So ended up, I was not originally planning to bring him, but seeing how well he, on paper at least, stacks up against a lot of these Mons, I think he's valuable to have because he just has so many coverage moves. Now, before I go on to Maui, let me go to Red Ranger here, the Bisharp, because this was the strategy I was thinking of using, but I'm going to probably rethink it a little bit. Because one thing I was afraid of, again with Dragonite, was setup with Dragon Dance. And I was thinking of a couple things. One thing I had thought was I could switch in Bisharp and put Red Card on him, take a hit from Dragonite, and then Red Card him out of there, so that any amount that he's been any amount he's been setting up would go away because he'd be switched out. And could also work well if I already have rocks up, because then you'd have to switch in again and take another 25% stealth rock damage. The thing that I learned in my practice battle that is good to know now is that Red Card does not trigger if your Pokemon gets KO'd. If your Pokemon that's holding Red Card gets KO'd. As a matter of fact, let me double check. Does it... Oh yeah, it says, if holder survives a hit, the attacker is forced to switch to a random ally. And it is single use, of course. But, yeah. So, like, in my match, I was planning on using it. It didn't really work so well. But, because I got KO'd, so I have to keep that in mind. So my other thought was maybe I should put the Red Card on Michelin, the Donphan, because I have Sturdy. So if I'm at full health, I'll guaranteed live a hit, and then get rid of any setup mon. The only thing is, because I want to have Donphan out fairly early in the game to set up rocks, I don't know if I'll even be at full health, so it might go wasted anyway. But at least with Bisharp, I'd have to predict it well, because I'd have to predict that Dragonite is going to go for a Dragon move or other resisted move, so that I have a better chance of surviving it. So it's a little bit risky still. But I feel like having a Red Card user, a Red Card holder, would be good. I'm just not sure if Bisharp will be the best choice. But again, with Michelin, I'm not sure if I'll even be at full health to take advantage of Sturdy combined with the Red Card. So I'll have to think about that. That's something that might be subject to change. So then the last team member I chose was Maui. So I had a hard choice. Basically the four that, on paper, stacked up really well against the most of his Pokemon were Mega Charizard Y, Bisharp, Donphan, and Electivire. So then for my last two slots, I was mainly torn between Sylveon, Shaymin, and Latias. Because whenever I run Mega Charizard Y, I think I want to have Latias to have Defog as a backup option for Michelin, because Michelin's going to have to be in the fray early game to set up his own rocks, and also because this team has a spin blocker in Jellicent. So I was really wanting to use Latias. Now, I put Maui on the team just because I thought it's an extra answer to Swampert, because really I only have Mega Charizard as an answer to Swampert. It's another answer to Jellicent, which getting rid of Jellicent would be important. I have Earth Power, which could be a surprise check to Alolan Muck. I have Hidden Power Electric, which is a reasonable answer to Mandibuzz. Like, I could at least do a sort of a chunk of damage, although maybe not much since Mandibuzz tends to be specially defensive. But I'm a little torn. I think Sylveon, based on Sylveon's performance in my first test battle, I think Sylveon is a must. But between Maui and McMuffin, my Latias, I'm not sure. Because actually on Latias, for this battle only, I could put Energy Ball on it and essentially have that grass coverage that Shaman brings. So that's another option. And Latias is especially bulky. I have right now I have 2 physical attackers, 2 special attackers, 1 physically defensive, and then in the last slot right now I have Shaman, another special attacker, but I could put a specially defensive Pokemon. Now again, Sylveon has some natural special bulk, but is not really, no investment. So it's not really a special wall. But when I was expecting to bring Latias, but then when I kind of did the numbers, Latias has defensive uses, definitely has that utility with Defog. I could do some shenanigans with Thunder Wave, although I'd have to, you know, predict the Swampert and the Claydol, so it might not be all that useful. And it has Recover. I could give it Healing Wish to kind of give more HP to one of my other Pokemon. Although I'd have to be aware that Mandibuzz and Jellicent pretty much destroy me with Taunt. Destroy most of Latias' strategy. Now, there's no fairies on his team, so I could keep the usual Dragon Pulse on it, but then I could have Energy Ball for the Jellicent. I don't know, I have options with it. And Latias has good base speed, and it walls the Typhlosion, although I'm not super scared of the Typhlosion. But it walls the Typhlosion, and, well, I guess that's about it. Well, I can be immune to a ground attack, which I have 2 ground weaknesses on this current set. So I don't know, I'm kind of between Shaman and Latias right now, but for now I went with Shaman. I went for the more offensive build, but I'm not sure on that. I'm not married to anything right now as far as that goes, but this is what I'm thinking my setup will be. And yeah, I just realized you can still see the window for my practice battle there, played against AJ. So yeah, so right now this is the team I'm looking at. Like I said, it might change, and I have to consider who I might lead with. It depends on who he brings, of course. I feel like he would want to bring the Dragonite, but he might not. I don't know. It depends on what kind of ability he wants to run on it. So I definitely want Red Ranger as a knockoff user. I want someone to have Red Card, just as like a last-ditch effort to force a setup mon out of there. But I have to make sure that I'm in a situation where I'll survive a hit. So I don't know. Anyway, that's going to do it. So this video will probably go up either the day before or the day of a little bit before the actual battle will go up. So, if you're excited for this battle against the Kentucky Typhlosions, go ahead and leave a like, cheer for your Orlando Solgaleo, leave a comment, show some support, show some, I don't know, what did we say? Lion love? Banana love? Solgaleo? Orlando love? I don't know, we need a catchphrase, but show that Orlando pride, even if you're not from Orlando. We're on the internet. You can symbolically rep for anywhere. Anyway, go like, leave a comment, subscribe so you do not miss any battles. They should be going up always on Saturdays unless there's a situation that might arise where I can't, I don't know. But the battles will be recorded in advance but uploaded on Saturdays, most likely. And I may or may not do, I know some YouTubers when they're in these leagues, after the battle they'll do a video where they go in and talk about what they did right, what they did wrong in the battle, kind of an overview. I may or may not do that. I might not be able to do that every week due to time constraints, so we'll see. But yeah, that's going to do it. I won't make this go any longer than it has to now. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're hyped. I'm hyped. I'm a little bit scared because it's the first battle, but I think we've got a good team. I think I have a reasonable strategy planned out, but it all depends on who he picks. So we will see. thank you guys! Again, I say thank you a lot because I'm really grateful for all you guys who watch me. But thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the battle for week 1 of the PGBL Orlando Solgaleo versus the Kentucky Typhlosions. See you there.